Good morning, and welcome to Unity Church of Practical Christianity's virtual version of our service. We're pleased that you're joining us here today. Today we'll be offering a meditation time in addition to our Sunday message, which will come from Reverend Mickey Quinton. Throughout the service, special music will be provided by Angelo Rapon, who's our musical director, and Julianne Tutko. At the end of the service, we'll share some other ways that we're staying connected with you, our Unity family, during this time. Our mission at Unity Church is to realize and express our oneness with God. And our vision statement is that we are a loving, spiritual community where we teach, share, and express unity in all life. Together, let's join in affirming our statement of being. Together, God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. Today's daily word is understanding. I open myself to spiritual understanding. When I feel frustrated by a personal or professional challenge, or feel unsafe or concerned about a situation or event, I seek greater understanding. When I try to understand, I open my heart. Maybe I just need to gather more information or request the advice of someone I trust. If I'm in conflict with someone, I practice understanding by listening with a curious mind and a loving heart. I grow in spiritual understanding when I discern and heed my inner guidance. Beyond conscious thought, spiritual truth begins to illuminate my consciousness. As I release all that stands in the way of understanding and stand firm in the love that it calls forth, I am guided by my growing spiritual understanding. And from the 119th Psalm, verse 144, your decrees are righteous forever. Give me understanding that I may live. As we begin our time of meditation, I invite you to get comfortable, to feel the support of your chair or the couch or the floor beneath you. Now I invite you to close your eyes, and then to take a deep breath in and out, and in and out. We acknowledge that these are challenging times for us all, but for this time of meditation, I ask that you give yourself permission to just put your worries aside, knowing that you can return to them at any time you so choose. And in this now moment, to begin breathing in peace, breathing out worries, breathing in health, breathing out dis-ease, and feeling with each breath that you are becoming more and more deeply relaxed. In this relaxed state, I invite you to imagine your connection with God's unconditional love centered in your heart. Just imagine that love filling your chest. With each breath in and out, and in and out, that love grows and glows, larger and warmer and stronger. At our core, we know that we are never, ever separate from that unconditional love of Spirit. Yet our ego will sometimes trick us into believing that we are. So now I ask you to reflect on what it is you need to hear from Spirit within to strengthen that connection, to diminish that sense of separation. Perhaps you simply need to hear that you are lovable, and you are lovable. Or perhaps you need to hear that your best is good enough. Your best is good enough. Perhaps you need to hear that you are perfect just the way you are. And you are perfect just the way you are. This time of meditation, allow your heart to speak to you as that ideal parent. Let that spirit of unconditional love within share whatever those words are that you most need to hear right here, right now. As you breathe in that unconditional love of God that is your birthright, that is your true essence, you can feel that part of you that feels separate become smaller and smaller and smaller as the light and love within you becomes larger, brighter, warmer. As you breathe in love and compassion and release ego and separation, let your focus be on that abiding connection with Spirit that is always present within you. And as you continue to breathe into this place where you and God are one, feel that love and warmth and light radiating through every molecule of your body. For now, we're approaching the end of our time of meditation. Continuing to breathe in and out. Take whatever time you need to return to that chair or couch or floor, bringing with you the sure knowledge that God lives within you as unconditional love and compassion, that you are lovable, that your best is good enough, that you are perfect just the way you are. And for that, we say thank you, God. Thank you and amen.
Appreciate you joining in with us for this live stream. I'd like to share with you on certainly one of my favorite subjects, and I know one of yours, the subject of hell. No, I'm kidding. I don't think any emotionally healthy person would consider that a favorite subject. But it is an important subject, and many of our brethren in the Christian world have some strong feelings about it. So I wanted to look at it today from a metaphysical point of view, because what you're going to see today, I trust that I can help, is that far from being a negative, it is an extremely positive thing. And I know at this point you may think that sounds weird, but I believe that you're going to see that. So bear with me. As a former evangelical minister, of course, this is a cardinal doctrine that is held to, the doctrine of eternal torment for the wicked. And I remember at a certain point in my ministry as an evangelical Pentecostal minister, I'd begun to question it, begun to think that maybe we didn't quite have that as certain as we thought we did. And I shared with a colleague of mine. I said, I'm beginning to wonder if hell is eternal torture. That maybe at some point it actually does end, and whoever's in there actually, ceases to exist. It's hard for me to see God torturing people for eternity. And I got to tell you, he looked at me like I had insulted his mother. He seemed so offended that I would question that in any way. And it's amazing how some people want to hold on to that so strongly. But then again, I was that way myself at one time. I know my hero, Bishop Carlton Pearson, that's why he had the abrupt change in his ministry, why he lost his church and lost most everything he had there for a while, is because he could no longer hold to a doctrine of eternal torment. But I want to share with you this morning, because I believe if we understand the teaching of hell in a metaphysical way, we're going to find it benefits us. Because we believe in unity, that heaven and hell are not literal places that you go to at death, but they're states of consciousness. I know a friend of mine, my best friend really, and a colleague in ministry, he's still an evangelical Pentecostal, but we're still good friends. And I was sharing with him recently, I said, in unity we believe hell is a state of consciousness. He said, so does your state of consciousness get warm? I mean, he couldn't grasp anything other than the literal, what he had always been taught. But I've been reading a book lately. I usually have 2-3 books at a time that I'm looking at. And this is a new one by a writer that I really like named Bart Ehrman. And it's a book called Heaven and Hell, A History of the Afterlife. I highly recommend it. I'm a history nerd, and so I don't want to go there too much because it'd bore you beyond words. But this is an excellent book if you're interested on where that teaching came from. Fascinating thing when you look at the history of how it developed, because people didn't always hold to that. Now it's interesting when you look at the Jewish scriptures, or what's commonly referred to as the Old Testament, there is no place of eternal torment in the Jewish scriptures. It just isn't there. Now they did have a place called Sheol. And I was referencing Sheol in Charles Fillmore's Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. And he says Sheol, 3 places that it's mentioned in the Jewish scriptures. The first is in 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 6, and it actually means grave. In Numbers 16 and 30, it means pit. And in Job 11:8, it actually is translated hell. But this is a foreign teaching to the Jewish scriptures, a place where the wicked are tormented day and night for eternity without end. Now what's interesting, and what brings out, is our present day teaching of a place where punishment and reward are meted out for eternity. actually came from the ancient Greeks and were especially influenced by the writings of Plato. Now, before Plato, the Greeks held to a place called Hades, where everybody went at death. And Hades was not a place of torment. Essentially, it was a very boring existence for eternity, where people wandered around with nothing to do, nothing really to see, and you just hung out there, which is not eternal torment, but it definitely doesn't sound fun either. But this was the Greek teaching, and Plato extended it to where Hades was not only where the dead went to hang out, but where there was rewards and punishments available. So this was not originally a Christian doctrine, it was a Greek teaching. And it was especially promoted by a man by the name of Augustine, who was a theologian of the early Christianity, and he was highly influenced by Greek thought, particularly the writings of Plato. As I say, I'm a history nerd, and I will not go on or belabor, but I would encourage you, if this holds interest to you, to look at that. But I want to say to you that in the light of the Jewish scriptures, in the light of history, nobody goes to hell, because there is no hell to go to. There is no such place. It is a place of consciousness, and metaphysically, when we understand it, we'll see that you don't go to, but you do go through. Now, the go to actually is not a thing, but the going through is, and that is where there is a great benefit if we understand it properly. We don't go to hell, nobody goes to hell, but at times we do go through hell. Now, in Matthew chapter 5, let me show you what Jesus said on this subject, because he's quoted, and our evangelical friends like to say, well, Jesus talked about hell. Yes, he did. Let's see what he said, because he didn't say anything about being tortured eternally. In Matthew 5 and 22, Jesus warned of the fiery hell, or the hell of fire. And this is translated from a word called Gehenna. Now, Gehenna was a valley a short distance south of Jerusalem. And according to Rabbi David Kinney of the 13th century, he wrote and commented on this. He spoke of Gehenna as a heap of burning rubbish. Gehenna was literally Jerusalem's city dump. And this is where everything imaginable was dumped. Garbage, sewage, dead animals, dead people. Anything that they figured they needed to get rid of went to Gehenna. Your kid brings you something that he says he don't like anymore, put it in Gehenna. They bring you a dead carcass to Gehenna with it. This was Jerusalem's dump, and it was constantly, the only means of disposal at the time was through burning. So they were constantly keeping fires going, burning up the disposable items. How many know Gehenna was never in the brochure of things, interesting things to see and do in Jerusalem? It was not. It was a nasty place, and it was simply a matter of getting rid of stuff that was no good anymore, that you didn't need. It was not beneficial. But I want you to bear in mind, when Jesus spoke of Gehenna, he never intended and never said anything about torture taking place. How many know nobody went out to Gehenna, to the dump, and tortured the disposed of chicken bones? They were there to be consumed and destroyed. And that's what Gehenna is. It's a place where things that are not beneficial are consumed, are destroyed. And I want to submit to you, Gehenna, in a metaphysical way, is the place where we dump useless stuff out of our lives. How many have things about yourself you don't like? Boy, I know I do. There are things I think and say. Frequently I think, I don't like that about myself. And I know it's not a good reflection of the Christ in me. And so I know that it's not good, and it needs to be dealt with. It needs to be done away with. It needs to be consumed and destroyed out of my life. And so there's times I need to go through hell to get rid of that stuff. Because you see, hell is a place where we are purged of things that are not like the Christ within us. Now, how many know that can be distinctly unpleasant? When the Christ within causes you to deal with things about yourself, can be very hellish. And the way that it comes about, it can at times feel embarrassing. At times you feel so exposed when you realize this is not something good and I need to get rid of it. And that's when we go through hell to be cleansed and purged of it. Just as the useless stuff was thrown in Gehenna, so the useless stuff in ourselves is consumed by the fires of hell. Not somewhere way back, out there somewhere after we're dead, but in this life now, as we live our lives. As we seek to reflect the Christ in us, we need to go through hell from time to time. I want to read to you, if I can, from Myrtle Fillmore's book, How to Let God Help You. And she spoke of this, and she said it better than I could ever say it. She said, we understand hell to be a purifying process, which the soul goes through to rid it of dross and weakness. The word hell, and Myrtle and I are on the same page here, the word hell is derived from a word which was used to denote a city incinerator in a valley outside of Jerusalem. As we've said, use of the incinerator was a health measure. A health measure. I love that. A means of taking care of the trash of the city. We feel that the scripture writers were trying to make clear to us the way in which the purifying fire of spirit continues its work in us until we come forth free from all that does not measure up to the Christ standard. Isn't that cool? It is for our good and does not harm us, except we resist it or do not make the effort to give up and avoid that which caused the undesirable condition of soul, body, or affairs. So just look yourself over and see what it is that makes it necessary for you to go through hell so often, and why each trip seems worse than the last. Excellent admonition from Myrtle Fillmore. Couldn't have said it better. Because this is the process of spirit purifying and purging us of what is not good for us. So to sum up, nobody's going to a mythical place of torment. Nobody's going there because there's nowhere to go. But we can allow spirit to take us through the hell of purification. And it's not always fun, but it's very good. So I appreciate this opportunity to share with you on the subject of hell. Hope you gained a positive outlook on it. Thank you so much.
I know I gained a positive outlook. Thank you so much, Reverend Quentin, for that very thoughtful and illuminating message, and to Julian and Angelo for our music today. Unprecedented times call for unprecedented action, and we're rising to the occasion. We are committed to serving you spiritually, emotionally, and mentally so that we can get through these challenging times as one united family. With your continued support, we'll press forward with faith through prayer, meditation, and internet action remotely. Please join us each Sunday at 10:45 a.m. for the Facebook live stream of this weekly Sunday message. And as an additional way to maintain our spiritual connection with our Unity family, we also invite you to engage in 10 or 15 or more minutes a day of conscious meditation with one another, beginning virtually at 11 a.m. This time corresponds with the daily Unity prayer service at Silent Unity, and we will continue to be live streaming our own Silent Unity prayer service with the Reverend Crooks each Wednesday at 11, and using that as our collective meditation time. And on last Tuesday, the Reverends Don and Judith Crooks began teaching the class Teach Us to Pray, which is based on the book by Charles and Cora Fillmore. That class Zooms beginning at 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights, and we would love for you to join us. It's not too late to do that. You can find more information about the class on our website and on our Facebook page. So in these many ways, let's stay connected. Let us hear from you. You can request prayers through the prayer request portal on our website. And speaking of our website, please check out the We're All in This Together post on our events and activity page for resources to maintain connection and ideas for things that you can do while maintaining appropriate social distancing. Donations can be mailed to the church office, or you can scroll down to the important announcement post on our Facebook page to find the link to donate, or donations can be made online via our website on the Ways to Support Our Church page. Bottom line, we love you, we bless you, we behold the Christ in you, and we know that even apart, we are all still one. The light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you.
The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you.
The power of God protects you.
The power of God protects you.
The presence of God watches over you.
The presence of God watches over you.
Wherever you are, God is.
Forever.